Newcastle United versus Bournemouth will go ahead at St James's Park this weekend. The club have now announced the signing of goalkeeper Loris Karius. Saint-Maximin has had a haircut, and a fan scheme to try and buy a part of Newcastle United has now raised over £200,000. Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Toon Tuesdays, your weekly roundup of Newcastle United news. Despite the fact there was no game at the weekend, we have still got loads to get through today. And before we do, if I can please ask that you get down and hit that subscribe button. I know loads of you guys watch Toon Tuesdays every week. I've been doing this series for years now, every Tuesday, and some of you guys are still watching but haven't subscribed. It really helps me, it helps the channel, but it also means you guys don't miss any future videos. Right then, let's start off with the fact that Newcastle versus Bournemouth will be going ahead on Saturday, 3 PM kickoff at St James's Park. I will be there. I'll have the usual pre-match chat, match day vlog, instant reaction. So if you're not subscribed, be sure to do so. Do not miss those videos on Saturday. And I'm hoping that we can pick up 3 points. Taking on a Bournemouth side who for many are favourites to get relegated this season. In fairness, since they sacked ex-Newcastle player, ex-Bournemouth manager Scott Parker, they've been doing all right. They've won a game, they've drawn a game, but you would say that Newcastle are the favourites going into this game, which I'm still not used to. I'm still not used to us being the favourites in any game, but I am hoping we can pick up 3 points. I feel like generally, other than maybe not scoring enough goals, we have played good football this season so far. Defensively, we've been very strong, but due to VAR and a few other things that I won't get into in today's video, we don't have the points tally that I think we really deserve at this point in the season. So I'm hoping we can pick up 3 points before we head into an international break. There's going to be another weekend without club football before we play Fulham on the 1st of October away. So we've got a game on Saturday, then a break, then a game where no doubt Mitro will probably score against us, but we'll worry about that game later. In terms of the Bournemouth game, I'm hoping we might see the return of both Bruno and Saint-Max. Both have been injured for some time now, hoping to see the return of them. And before the game, it is expected there will be a minute's silence and the players will wear black armbands for the passing of the Queen, whose funeral is on Monday. And despite the fact the Premier League going ahead, there is still a few games that won't go ahead. Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, Leeds, Brighton, Palace, due to needing of the police down in London at the moment. But the Newcastle game is going ahead. I will be there. Hopefully we'll see Bruno and Saint-Max, and hopefully we will see 3 points. Speaking of Saint-Maximin, he has now had a haircut. That's right, that's what the news looks like when you've not had a game at the weekend. But I can promise there is a lot more to come in this video, and it did catch a lot of people's attention. Has he actually gone full skin fade, or is it a filter? Because that's what I thought it was at first. Or has he left the long hair at the back and you just can't see it in the photo? I think that's most likely. Miggy, Bruno and Manquillo did a meet and greet at the Newcastle club shop last week. Now this was organised by Castore, the sponsor, with the club, and it's great to see. It's something that, in my opinion, did not happen enough under previous ownership. And to see, kids there queuing up to meet the heroes, what's bad about that? It's great to see. I'm really happy the club are doing this kind of thing. And, in terms of legend talks and all that kind of thing, that's something that I would really love to get more involved in with the club. Before match days at Shearer's Bar, have on, ex-pros doing talks, get them in the stadium early. That would be brilliant. So we'll wait and see, but it's baby steps, but it's great that the kids had the opportunity to get invited down, and some fans and adults as well, I should say, going down there to see the players was all brilliant. So well done to the club, well done to Castore. I've not said that ever, so well done to them. And some more really lovely news. Dan Burn actually visited a cancer ward this week as well, where a number of unwell Newcastle fans got the chance to meet one of their heroes as well. And Dan Burn actually did an interview recently as well. It's been his dream to always play at Newcastle, and was questioned on his thoughts in terms of him coming in and maybe finding it harder to get opportunities in the team with Botman and Shaw. He said that the centre-halves we were linked with in January, and then we went on to sign Sven Botman in the summer. I've always knew it would be the case of signing and knowing that it was a short-term fix, which you can argue it was, you can argue it wasn't. Back in January when we brought Dan Burn in, it was that we did need centre-backs, so it was a quick fix. Whether it was a short or a long-term, maybe, but it was definitely a quick fix. But he went on to say that he backs himself, that if he can get in the team, he'll back himself against anyone. So fighting talk, you know, he's real, he understands the situation, he knows new players are coming in, but he's backing himself to try and keep his spot in the squad. And he also went on to say that it's always been his dream to play for Newcastle United since he was a kid, and he never thought he would get that opportunity, so he had to take it. So big up Dan Burn. Great to hear the fighting talk. You know, players who want to be here, want to fight for the side. Big up Dan Burn. The video game FIFA 23 is being released this month on the 30th of September, but they've already started to reveal some of the player ratings. Now, Bruno Guimaraes is not happy with his rating of 81. Now, that's actually an increase of 2 since his card last year, but if you compare it to some of the other scores in the Newcastle squad. Now, these ratings are last year's ratings. Not everything's been revealed yet. But Trippier was 84. Isak was 82. Pope was 83. Now, you got to think Bruno would be at least 84, 85, if not even higher. So I can see why he's a little bit disappointed with that one. If you think Newcastle's highest rated player last year was Dubravka on 81, Saint-Max 79, Wilson 79. Could we see an increase for Saint-Max? You'd think so, but it just shows that Trippier, Isak, Pope, Bruno, none of them were in the side this time last year, which is mad. Shows how much has changed, and it's great news for the Newcastle fans who play FIFA. And something that will cheer Bruno up a little bit, I'm sure, is he has been called up to the Brazil squad, as I mentioned, following the game against Bournemouth. We then go into the international break. Bruno has been called up for Brazil. Unfortunately, Joe Linton has not. They're still going with Fred for some reason. Casemiro, I mean, Brazil have a lot of very good players in there, so not Joe Linton just yet. Hopefully Bruno can really force himself into the starting 11. Fraser has been called up for Scotland as well for the first time in just under a year. So big up to Fraser. I'm pretty sure that we'll also see Trippier go away with England, Isak go away with Sweden, Shaw go away with Switzerland. We're just waiting on all of that to be announced just yet. But well done to Bruno and Fraser. We'll see who else is going from Newcastle on an international trip. Now then, on to some transfer news. I bet you didn't think I'd be saying that in the middle of September, but Newcastle have now brought in goalkeeper Loris Karius on a free. The 29-year-old's contract with Liverpool ended in the summer. Now, he had been out on loan to Besiktas, to Berlin, but his contract was still with Liverpool. It ended in the summer. He was unable to find a club in the summer, and following the injury to Carl Darlow's ankle, Newcastle have now brought in Loris Karius as the backup to Nick Pope. And I have to say, the injury to Carl Darlow and the announcement of Karius being in Newcastle for his medical came out the same day. Dan Ashworth and Eddie Howe worked extremely quickly to get something done, which is impressive, very impressive. As I say, in my opinion, under previous ownerships, it would have taken us weeks, months to sort something out. It got sorted in the same day. And the reaction from Newcastle fans has been brilliant, considering, you know, my most recent memory of Karius was the howler in the Champions League final, but the reaction has been brilliant. Let's not forget that he got them to the final. He got Liverpool to the final. He is Premier League experienced. He's made some great saves in the Prem, in the Champions League. You know, Liverpool bought him for a reason. He was a very highly regarded goalkeeper when Liverpool brought him in, and Nick Pope's still number one. Karius has been brought in as the backup. The contract is till January, so should Carl Darlow be back and fit, Karius could well go. Could Karius prove himself and get an extension? Possibly. We'll have to wait and see, but it's great to see we've acted fast. We've brought in a keeper. Nick Pope remains number one, but maybe we might see Karius feature in some of the cup games. Can you believe it's been almost 1 year since the Newcastle United takeover, since we were outside of St James's Park celebrating, since Amanda, Murdad, the Reuben brothers, the PIF bought Newcastle United, and for many, returned the club to the fans and to the supporters. And I also think for many, that previous 14 years has become a little bit of a blur. You know, let's concentrate on the new era. But if I could just rewind the clock a little bit to a time when fans argued, protested outside of games, boycotted the club shop, boycotted the matches, it was not a fun time to be a Newcastle fan, and there was not a lot of joy in St James's Park or Newcastle United, and the Newcastle United Supporters Trust wanted to do something about that. So they set up the 1892 pledge scheme, which was an opportunity for fans to donate money each month to the pledge scheme, and should the opportunity arise and should there be enough money raised, they could look, Newcastle fans, the Supporters Trust could look to buy part of the club, or should the club have fallen down the divisions, even look to buy the whole of the club, to try and have a voice in what at the time was no voice for the fans. They wanted to do something about that. Things have fast forwarded since then. We've had the takeover. Everything's going quite well at the moment, if I could say myself. And the scheme has now been stopped. However, the scheme did raise 200,000 fans. The 7,000 fans who took part in this Newcastle United Supporters Trust 1892 pledge scheme raised £200,000, and it said from the start that if it wasn't going to be used on potentially buying part of the club, they would instead look to donate this money to local charities. Now, following a number of meetings and a long time spent over this, it has now been, well, proposed that this money will go to the Alan Shearer Foundation, the Bobby Robson Foundation, the Newcastle Food Bank, and the Newcastle United Foundation. The reason it's been proposed is the members need to vote and need to agree that they are happy for the money to be used for these causes. It's funny how things work out, isn't it? As I say, you think back to that time where the Supporters Trust have set up this great movement to try and have a voice in our club. Fast forward a year, we've got the new owners, we've got the money spent, things are changing, the new training ground, the St James's Park, getting that lick of paint, getting that love and care, and what was such a fantastic pledge set up now looks to benefit a number of local Newcastle North East charities. £200,000 is so much money raised, and as I say, in a way, it's the best of both worlds, because the new owners are listening to the fans. The fans have a voice through the new owners, but we still have all of this money going to fantastic causes. The Newcastle Shearer Foundation are looking to build a new park, a new sensory park. The Bobby Robson Foundation want to spend the money on obviously the cancer patients and coming up with new ways to try and help and support those people. The food bank are actually looking to buy a new vehicle to help transport the food. It's a moving pantry, basically, to keep the food fresh. And the Newcastle United Foundation are looking to build a new classroom. So I will actually leave the link to a video down below. Shearer's in it, discussing the charities. And as I say, this is not confirmed, but the overriding feedback that I have seen from the trust members and everyone who got involved in the pledge scheme is that they are very, very supportive of this movement. So yeah, a massive well done to the Supporters Trust and to all the fans who donated. That is such a huge contribution to a number of very worthy charities should the proposition go through. But as I say, it looks very, very positive what I've seen so far. And yeah, great news there. And as I say, the best of both worlds, because we've got the owners, they're listening to the fans, they're listening to the Supporters Trust as it is. So to now use that money for such great causes, yeah, it's great news. And that is it, guys. So I hope you have enjoyed this week's Toon Tuesdays. As always, I will be back next Tuesday with a full roundup of Newcastle United news. So be sure to hit subscribe. Do not miss next Tuesday's video. Let me know your thoughts on the game against Bournemouth coming up this weekend. As I mentioned, I will have a full preview later in the week. So be sure to subscribe. Do not miss the videos coming up this week and at the game against Bournemouth this weekend. Alright, guys, have a great week. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.